Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. As you all are aware, we try and bring a session every month covering one or the other interesting topics. In this edition, we will discuss a topic which is tremendously relevant now for the retailers, the requirements and need for warehouse readiness for the upcoming holiday season rush. Taking us through this interesting session, we have with us Srinivasa Rao, Director, Warehouse Management Solutions, Equiva Consulting. Srini is a seasoned professional with 19 years of expertise in Manhattan warehouse management systems. He has diverse industry experience covering retail, e-commerce, pharma, grocery, 3PL logistics, and footwear, having served over 50 global customers. Along with him, we have Bharat Simha, Principal Consultant, Warehouse Management Solution, Equiva Consulting. Bharat also has more than 12 years of extensive experience in Manhattan WMS. He has worked across a range of industries again, including retail, e-commerce, grocery, footwear and apparel, aerospace, and 3PL logistics. He has successfully served over 30 diverse customers. Srini, Bharat, thank you for taking time and joining us for this session. So, in this session, as I earlier stated, we will discuss the importance of holiday season and what retailers can do to manage the rush efficiently and effectively. Let's take the first question. Why is the holiday readiness so crucial?
First of all, thanks for that introduction, Sucheta. Yeah, to answer your question, we all know the retail industry is witnessing consistent growth year over year when it comes to holiday sales, right? And it is expected to grow up to 1 trillion this year with 4.5% growth rate. All right. So there is a big opportunity out there, $1 trillion opportunity. I'm not just talking about e-com retail, but retail overall is expected to touch 1 trillion this year, right? So that is one aspect of it. And two, holiday sales are generally associated to, gifts, right? And they are attached to people, family, and their friends, etc., right? So it becomes very crucial to deal with every sale they have, right? They have to ensure that right product is at the right place to honor their commitments for holiday season, right? So those are the two main aspects. One, there is a big opportunity. I would like to be relevant in the market as a retailer, and I would like to ensure that my customers are happy, and they are basically by delivering the product on time as promised is what we can gain their loyalty, right? So these are the two main aspects that drive basically or make this holiday season so crucial for everybody.
True. So, going further, what factors should be taken into account as part of holiday readiness plan?
Yeah. So there are various factors, or probably there are various things that we need to consider for holiday readiness. I would say broadly, it's the inventory and its supply chain. Our customers sit with a lot of historical data, right? So they have ample historical data from the previous holiday seasons. The most important thing here is to gather and analyze the data. When we say analyze the data, it is to forecast the sales that we would be having this year, right? So analysis of this historical data would give us a forecast of what sales we could have this season. Again, stocking up inventory, that is again a crucial thing, right? So whether it is inventory stocking in a distribution center, warehouse, or it could be even the supplier and vendor preparedness. We talk about transportation, right? So transportation plays a very important role, be it for procurement or be it for the end mile delivery. So even our transportation systems and transportation need readiness. IT systems, of course, we all work on IT systems, and we need to talk about the importance of IT systems. The IT systems that support the entire supply chain landscape, right? So we are talking about WMS, we are talking about warehouse management systems. The systems which are upstream to warehouse management systems, There are systems which are downstream to warehouse management systems, transportation management systems, order management systems. Systems like these also need, readiness. Last but not the least, again, so very, very important factor. We need to take into account the human force, right? So we need a lot of additional workers during our holiday season, be it tech or non-tech. People who work on the IT control rooms or the non-tech people who are busy picking and packing and receiving inventory in the warehouse. They also need to be accounted. The human force is also a crucial thing.
True, so true, Bharat. So I'm taking a cue from what all you said. If we are talking about IT systems, so why do the IT system need preparedness? Can you elaborate?
I'll take that up, Sujata. Yeah. IT systems, I mean, whether it's a product journey, basically, whenever customer starts placing an order on a consumer, I mean, a retailer website or a marketplace, or I mean, through mobile app, they will initiate the ordering process, right? We need to make sure that their experience is seamless from the start of their journey, from for searching for a product and placing an order until you deliver the product to the customer, and if he is not happy he would like to return that as well, right? The entire experience we would like to make sure that it is seamless to the customer, and you can make customer only happy if you are taking care of entire system. So I mean, to have this entire thing in place, you need so many backend systems, right? So those are the systems which are helping, not necessarily an IT order, I mean an online order, right? Even if you walk into a store, you are not finding a right product at right place, you are losing a sale, right? You are losing some business there, right? How do we ensure that product reaches that place at right time so that I can make a deal out of it, right? So I mean, one aspect is that, and yeah, I mean, when it comes to IT systems, and Bharat also talked about, it's not just a warehouse management system which basically fulfills the orders in the back end, and also systems which are like transportation management system, order management system, and overall, I mean, there is an orchestrator in between, like, right, integrator who also needs to support, I mean, the entire orchestration of this order journey, right? Without losing any data. If you are losing some data, I mean, you are creating a problem in the system. So that resulting, I mean, customer experience, right? Impacting some kind of customer experience at the end, right? So that is one aspect. The second system aspect is like you started your journey for placing an order and you started seeing some errors. I mean, you will not be very happy, right? I mean, customers will, if they start seeing errors or if they are seeing slowness of a system, it's very well possible that they will not visit that website later, right? So that is one aspect. And a final thing, I mean, and foremost thing, and most important thing for the leadership, right? As a leader for a retail thing, if somebody asks me whether I'm ready to deal with my holiday season, I should be able to tell, right? Because I don't know whether my systems will perform under unexpected or forecasted loads Bharat talked about, right? So to make sure that all of that are happening, I mean, I need to prepare my systems to handle that load. So that's the reason, I mean, IT systems definitely need, I mean, preparedness to make sure they will be able to handle at least the predicted loads, right?
True. And what do we do from IT systems perspective?
Yeah, there were some very, great points which Srini put out on why we need to just get prepared on the IT systems and who all participate, be it the upstream or the downstream systems to warehouse management. Again, as a good practice, uh, we perform system audits. What comes out of these audits are numerous recommendations and suggestions. So incorporating these recommendations and suggestions, right? So they play a very important role. So be it recommendations related to sizing, system parameters, or be it memory, things like these. And also, the performance of the systems need to be validated, right? Which again, we talk about tuning. The moment we talk about performance, we talk about tuning. Again, recommendations. So we do validations, tuning, and again incorporate all the recommendations. So when it is holiday season, the flow in the warehouse is very different from a usual scenario what happens day in and day out in a warehouse, right? So the holiday specific flow needs to be set up. So once we set up these holiday specific flows on the system, that again needs to go through a lot of validations, a lot of checkpoints, and then of course training. So we need to go through the training for the users who operate on these systems, the warehouse workers, the IT folks. Everyone needs to go through these holiday specific setup. And as a simplified process, we need to prepare documents, and we see a lot of additional workforce that comes into play during holiday readiness. So we would have a lot of temporary workers who would just be helping us through the holiday season. How do we onboard them? How do we make their onboarding seamless, right? So we could prepare simplified onboarding documents and training materials and things like these.
Very, very interesting, Bharat. Srini, would you want to add something to it?
Bharat pretty much covered everything. Only thing that comes to my mind is with respect to preparedness of this IT systems is like ensuring that code is frozen beforehand before I start handling my peak volumes, right? If I need to push in any performance related patches, which came because of my audit recommendations or tuning recommendations are in place. These two aspects also we need to plan in advance so that systems are not touched once they actually enter into the holiday season. Yeah.
So very, very true, Srini. So now when we are talking about preparedness, the question comes, who needs to prepare for the holiday season rush?
Yeah, anyone and everyone who's involved in holiday sale, right? All the e-commerce retailers themselves needs preparation. Yeah. Apart from that, all marketplaces and aggregators, they also needs preparation. And and of course, the logistics partners. Those are the ones actually moving products from place to place, right? They need preparation. As Bharat mentioned, if they need to procure additional things to cater to that additional uh, orders or volumes they're handling during holiday season, even they need some similar kind of a preparedness, right? Yeah, I think those are the main players who needs to, prepare for holiday season.
So true, Srini, that everyone needs to prepare. But Bharat, if you want to add, if there is any other component or any other people who need to prepare
I
for the
quite
holiday.
like what Sini said. So everyone needs preparedness. When it is holiday readiness, I like what Srini said. So everyone involved needs to be prepared. I think he covered most of it. He covered about all the logistics aggregators, marketplace, and things like that. Yeah, Srini, probably, yeah. So we also need our suppliers and vendors to get prepared. So they also need to be up to speed. We probably have to get them on speed and let them know about our holiday season. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's a very valid point because you wanted 100 additional products to be delivered. They are different from your regular order to them, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for adding the point. Yeah, a very good point.
So true. So now that we are talking about preparedness, another thing that comes to everyone's mind is, when do we start to prepare for the holiday season?
I'll take that, Sucheta. So when we talk about preparing for a holiday season, we typically say a customer needs 3 to 6 months of time frame to get prepared for a holiday season. That said, it again depends on the nature of the business what you do, right? So it could change from nature of business to business, right? So it is very specific to a particular business that we are operating. Um, Historically, what we have seen is the holiday season would span somewhere between 5 to 6 weeks. But then we notice in the recent days that, post COVID, what we see is we see a holiday season of 8 to 10 weeks. Keeping that time frame in mind, I think it's advised that we prepare ourselves anywhere ranging between 3 to 6 months. Yeah. In response, retailers are strategically diversifying their sales efforts, moving away from concentrating sales within a brief time. Yeah.
Very, very interesting because, yes, the holiday season now never seems to end actually. So now let's talk about another thing, that is, how do we manage the required inventory levels with this existing infrastructure in the warehouse or DC or store? How do we do that?
Yeah, I'll take that, Sucheta. Yeah, when it comes to, physical infrastructure, right? I mean, you cannot so easily upgrade it. If it is IT infrastructure, I can add one RAM maybe, or I can add one processor extra, right? But it's not as simple as you cannot add additional space, right? I mean, you can definitely, land it somewhere else, but in your existing infrastructure, if you want to handle it, will be much more tougher. That's where the expertise, opinion from experts, etc., will comes into play, right? Or experience we handled in the past all comes into play, right? I mean, I have the same set of locations, but how best I can use those locations, right? What products to be placed in my peak phase? What should be moved to my reserve areas, right? I mean, we help in identifying. We first basically identify what are the fast movers or hot items we call them, right? Which are basically relevant for holiday season, right? So we help in identifying those items and also identifying right location for those items, right? That is one aspect of it. And two, can I leverage some of the spaces which are not very much used on day-to-day basis, right? Like some of the staging locations or some of the receiving dogs, etc., to just to store holiday season specific items, right? Because the life cycle in the warehouse for or in the store for those items is lesser compared to the regular items. They may stay for months or years in your warehouse or in your store, but the holiday system specific items, say for example, may stay maybe not more than 5 to 6 weeks or 8 to 10 weeks, right? So how can I deal them differently than other items, right? So that is another aspect of, when it comes to, inventory optimization in the warehouse. And other aspect is that is a physical aspect, but and also the systemic aspect comes into play, right? Whether my warehouse inventory is accurately reflected in my ERP, is it accurately reflected in my order management system, right? I mean, this point we touched earlier also, right? Whether my integration layer or orchestrator in between, is he able to handle the load, or is he actually transferring right information between the systems, right? So the inventory accuracy, ensuring that inventory accuracy. So as Bharat mentioned, we do audits, we do basically diagnosis of the system to ensure that there are no discrepancies between systems. If there are, we recommend what to be done to address them before your holiday season starts, so that your systems are talking to each other well and also reflecting the inventory, right inventory picture, right? So those are the main aspects I feel, uh, physical as well as non-physical aspects of inventory to be dealt for holiday season.
Thank you, Srini, because inventory becomes a very important factor in holiday readiness.
Yes.
Now that we are talking about it, what all we do as a part of performance testing or peak volume exercise?
Yeah. So talking about performance, yeah, much before we get into performance, there were some great points that Srini pointed out. Yeah, we deal with a lot of real estate problems when we talk about, warehouse, right? So how do we optimize it? Great point, Srini. Now that we talk about performance and tuning them, right? So performance testing is just nothing but simulating the real-time load on the systems, of course, on the test environments, unlike the production. So market is, market is, the tech market is advancing and marching. So we have a lot of tools available for this, be it load runner, JMeter, and tools like this, right? So we use these tools and kind of simulate the real time data and kind of load our systems with these data, and then we do these testing and performance testing. What we really do, the nitty gritties of these performance testing is something like, it could be as good as mimicking the integrations, right? So she was talking about integration flows a while back, how the systems are connected and things like that. So we do mimic and kind of simulate these integrations between the systems and see how the systems behave, right? And operational workflows within each of these products. We talk about warehouse management system. We talk about specific workflows within this. We talk about a different IT system. We kind of simulate the workflow on, let's say, order management systems, right? Transport management. All of these systems have their own operational workflows. We kind of simulate that, and of course, these days we interface with a lot of external systems, be it logistics aggregators, transport systems, and things like that. We kind of simulate all of these things and to ensure our systems are performing as expected. Most importantly, under predicted load as well as unpredicted loads. What we see every day is predicted loads. What we see on a holiday season is unpredicted loads. Yeah, and most importantly, these are to be performed on a production like infrastructure. Although we talk about simulating these data, real time data, and things like that, these are done in test systems, but the test systems need to be mimicking the production like infrastructure. Yeah.
Right. That is so important. Now, when we are talking about such technical details, so what kind of technical challenges you addressed or uncovered in the past? There must be a use case that you can share with.
Yeah, I mean, we have done several performance exercises and audits, etc. I mean, in the past, I mean, I would like to take few examples from such exercises. Like one such example would be like adding memory to the server, right? In Manhattan infrastructure, every will have its own server, right? Say, for example, a cubing server was basically getting grown beyond 2 GB, allocated GB, and it is basically crashing. So there is an option to increase it to up to 4 GB, and the recommendation came from Manhattan, and we ensured that we set it up to 4 GB and system performs well after basically increasing it to 4 GB. Right? It's as simple as increasing memory for a server. Not only that, say for example, a DB, a end user is basically experiencing a slowness while accessing a page or a screen or whatever, right? Then when you actually go back and actually do your research, you figured out that, I mean, a DB query, which is basically fetching the data and showing it in the UI, is taking longer time. That query needs time tuning, basically, right? Or addition of an index or introduction of a sequence or whatever, right? Those are the few examples. Like, not only that, I mean, you may need to basically even increase some of the, I mean, DB plans. I mean, you have to do research on what DB plan basically each query is using, how IO is basically input output, how it is performing, reads basically, right? So even all such things we had seen in the past, and we helped customers basically not only identifying the issue, resolving the issue until it's closed, right? That's the foremost important thing. We will just not report the issue. We will report the issue, where the issue is, what needs to be fixed, right? I mean, that's where expertise comes into picture, right? So, yeah, I mean, these are some of the issues we had seen. Not only these, I mean, the product is evolving day by day, right? I mean, they moved away from monolithic to now cloud-based version, right? When it's the microservices, we had seen issues with communication mainly, right? A component is emitting a lot of data, but other component is not able to take that much amount of data. All right, I mean, I may need to balance. Maybe I need to increase some of the listeners from other side, or I mean, I need to, yeah, such parameters also be tuned. Mainly, it's again comes into your integration layer part, right? It's whether it's a RabbitMQ or any other communication messaging broker you are using, whether it is able to scale and transfer messages between the systems, etc. Also we tuned in the past.
Interesting use cases, Srini. Thank you for sharing. Bharat, would you like to add something more to it?
Sure. Great points again, Srini. So you spoke about scaling and how components talk to each other and how you simulate such things, right? So again, Srini, you were mentioning about some of the exercises we did in the past and I recall transactions, very application specific transactions where we had to go and tune the application code, right? So I recall some of our previous experiences working on RF anchor carton transactions within WMS, where the application code had to be tuned, fine tuned, and then therefore and thereafter we saw performance related issues were eliminated. Yeah.
Yeah, very good point. And yeah, several transactions we had seen loops, unnecessary loops, they will basically take out when while tuning the performance, right? There will be some memory leaks also we had seen, right? Some of the servers are keep growing and memory is getting grown, and again finally it will dump once it reaches its max limit, right? Yeah, thanks Bharatam, thanks for adding the point. I mean, it's a very good point. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing those use cases. And now that we are talking about technical challenges, I'm also sure that you have use cases of business and operational challenges that you might have addressed or uncovered in the past. Can you share something?
Yeah, so Srini kind of spoke through the technical challenges, talking about operational challenges and the business challenges that we face day to day are very specific to holiday readiness, right? So identify the holiday specific items, right? So as part of operational challenges, what we can do to eliminate these are something like we identify some specific hot items, right? Or holidays specific items. We know about lot of sale goes on for a particular item or a in demand items, right? So identify these kind of items and introducing some lean processes for operations, and handling and transportation comes thereafter, right? So we need to be introducing some lean processes during handling these when we handle operations. Again, we were talking about real estate and how we manage the area within the warehouse, within the four wall and things like that. New floor locations, can be introduced to handle hot items, right? So we were talking about very specific SKU set or an item set which gets sold during the holiday season. Srini was just talking about gifting, and I recall, and in the initial conversations that we had, he was talking about gifting and things. So we know that some of the items are very hot during the holiday season, right? So we need to be building new locations for them. And again, when it's items and locations, slotting comes into picture. Where do we fit the a particular item in, and how do we fit? Where does it fit? Which location? So slotting plays a very important role. Again, slotting the right products in right place, right? Again, my favorite area is transportation, right? So transportation optimization. FedEx picks up how many times, and it could be as simple as how many times does FedEx need to come and pick up, right? So, or maybe introducing new transport aggregators, shuttles, or onboarding new delivery partners, things like these are very operational specific challenges. How many times do I want them to come in and pick up my goods for delivery, right? So when we talk about retail operations, we talk about routes, retail routes, and things like this. How can I optimize my routes, already existing routes? So these are some of the operational challenges that one can think about.
Wow, I mean, probably we would not have thought and so far. But Srini, would you like to add a few more points to it?
Bharat covered pretty much it, Sucheta. Only one thing I would like to add is, I mean, because holiday season always, I mean, involves needing, I mean, additional resources, right? Whether it is the floor workers or technical resources, or, right? How quickly can I onboard them plays a major role, right? Can I have a training documentation that itself self-explanatory, self-onboarding, it will help, right? We have done such things in the past. Identifying right transactions for, I mean, temp workers versus, I mean, my regular workers also, right? I do not want to put a complex transaction with a temporary workers. Rather, I prefer my existing resource to handle that. I'll give him a simplest workflow so that he can easily handle it, right? So, I mean, even that there, I mean, expertise comes into play, right? I mean, can I give everything to them, or I mean, how do I best handle my resources available? How quickly can I onboard? I mean, that is another area. Is I mean, I think we also helped in the past when it comes to operations.
So true. So now I'm taking a step further. So we are talking about orders. So how will you optimize the order processing in warehouse management system?
Yeah. So far, we talked about order processing in its entirety, right? Starting from a product journey. I mean, he's searching a product till he gets it or returns it, right? But when it comes to within the four walls, we call the warehouse, right? I mean, the order journey within four walls, how should I optimize it, right? The order fulfillment process in WMS, we all know, call it as a wave process, right? What different strategies should I apply? Do I need to create a different template to handle my holiday specific items? Shall I handle fast movers differently versus, I mean, non-fast movers? Or, I mean, do I need to honor my delivery timelines? Shall I prepare wave templates based on my delivery deadlines? Right? I mean, these are various aspects we basically analyze and come up with a right strategy or right wave templates for the customer. Right? That is one aspect. And also, like, product is also having features like order streaming, where we also analyze the data and see whether data, I mean, order streaming is the right strategy for certain kind of items, right? So once order is fulfilled, next comes the picking, packing, right, within the warehouse. Where is my product? How best I pick this product, right? I mean, the latest trend is like, if either singles orders, I mean, handling singles orders separately versus using put walls, etc., for multi-line orders. I mean, this is also is the trend, right? I mean, those are the best practices. I mean, industry is adopting, right? We know what best practices are. Industry is adopting. I mean, that is again comes with not just expertise, also with experience, right? Those are certain things. I mean, other than that, what else? Yeah, yeah. Those are the main factors I think we considered. Yeah.
Now I'm going back to one of the interesting topics that we had. We were talking about when I asked you who needs to be prepared for the holiday season, and you said everyone. Now I'm taking a cue from there and asking that are there any specific strategies between retail and e-commerce? Can we talk about?
Yes, Suchita, talking about retail versus e-com, quite honestly, the differences between retail and e-com are becoming very thin, thanks to those omni-channel fulfillment demands by customers and the adoption by most of the retailers. Although, just to point out a few, the differences what we have witnessed in the past, right? When we talk about e-com, the very specifics that one may see as the IT infrastructure that supports the entire e-com platform is one of the key factors. So Shini was just talking about the user experience and the various places from which the user could just kind of order and things like that. Stability, endurance, and the ability to handle these fluctuating demands become very important when we're talking about e-com. Yeah, so we talk about websites, we talk about apps, and various large user base, right? So all of these front-ending systems that support the e-com need to be very stable. Again, the shipping carrier integrators and the integrators and the payment gateways, the integration between the website, the apps, and the payment gateways, also address validation systems. We know that all of these e-com orders go through an order validation. We have payment gateways. All of these needs to be seamless when we talk about e-com. We make use of these modern day, robotic systems and automation and things like this. Having these in place and validating such systems becomes very important. Automating and using robotic systems that support it becomes very important when we talk about e-com. E-commerce, when we talk e-com, we need to talk about replenishments. Tweaking the replenishment process to handle e-com becomes one of the crucial things again. Talking about retail, the specifics would be, simulating the supplying goods to stores based on historical forecast. Each of these stores sell differently. There could be a store which is selling huge number of units. They could be making huge sales versus it could be a store which could be making very less sales. So based on this forecast, simulating the supply to these stores becomes very important when it is retail. Of course, needless to talk about transportation fleet, the stops and optimization that comes, obvious with stores and the fleets that operate, that deliver to these stores. Fulfillment strategies for store orders need to be prioritized, much earlier to the holiday season. The idea here is to avoid the overlapping between the e-com and retail fulfillment to the maximum extent possible. Reviewing and kind of suggesting flow-through processes for store fulfillment would be ideal in such cases. We know that the flow-through processes are quite quick compared against the usual process of how we process an order, right? So suggesting and reviewing these flow-through processes for store fulfillment can help us in retail flows. The trend which is catching up and which is already, in huge demand is buy online and pick up in store, BOPIS, right? So the BOPIS order volumes are huge these days. We notice a huge spike in BOPIS orders. So the buy online and pick up in store order volumes change the way how a store operates. We need to take these things into consideration when it is retail.
Very interesting analogy, Bharat. And now when we are talking about order, I think another important thing is the return processing. So can you explain the role of return processing in when we look into the holiday season readiness?
Yeah, if you have an order, then you have a return process attached to it, right? So the trend is, it is actually upticking towards, increasing demand for returns, right? In the sense, customers are returning more items compared to earlier. Earlier, the trend was 15 to 20% e-commerce and less than 10% store orders were being returned. But currently, the numbers are, 30% for up to 30% for e-com and more than 10% for store fulfillment, right? And also, Bharat talked about BOPIS. Now it is a BORIS also, right? Buy online, retail, return in store, right? That is also a trend. So you cannot avoid return, and also we have done small enhancements or suggestions to our customers, like when product came anyway returned, right? We talk about disposition, right? Once it is returned, whether it needs to be disposed or needs to undergo certain level of inspection or rework before it is being available, kind of a thing, right? And also, there will be situations where, I mean, I want to make it available as soon as possible because I do not want to lose a sale out of it later point in time. But a customer came back and told that, I mean, I would like to go and see whether there is a available inventory for this particular item or not in my warehouse. If so, I don't want to expedite return process for this. First, I want to segregate whatever is coming back to my warehouse and then do actual return process, right? So it makes sense, right? I mean, I'm getting 100 items a day, but I have workforce which can basically rework and put it back only 50 items a day. Then I would like to prioritize them, right? So we help them in building such or coming up with such strategies and building an extension around that, right? So you cannot avoid returns once we are in business, right? Especially in the e-com business. So preparation, and the more the sales, the more the returns. So you need more workforce and more simpler ways to handle returns, like the extension I talked about during holiday season. I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah, more simplest ways you need to identify and set up to handle during holiday season, I would say.
Thank you, Srini, for touching through that important topic. Now, can we talk about any specific tools that you can suggest for easy monitoring and analysis during the holiday season?
Let me take that. Yeah. Great points, Srini. So we were talking about returns, and then we spoke about how return, refurbish, and then resell, or return, or recycle. Great points there. Yeah. So talking about tools specifically for monitoring during holiday season. That's a good question, Sucheta. So tech, tech industry and the market is growing and marching, right? So technical performance monitoring tools, like a few to name would be like AWR, Nmon, Perform, and API monitoring, message monitoring, enabling loggers, and also configuring a few alerts to monitor the system performance, right? So these alerts play a very important role, right? So you get an alert saying that the system is overused, or the memory is picking up and things like that, right? So these alerts play a very important role while we are monitoring and things like that. These were talking about the system performance monitoring. Now, talking about operational performance, we have throughput monitoring. We could set up a lot of reports, right? So, and also dashboards, right? Holiday specific dashboards. Before the actual season comes up, we can set up holiday specific dashboards to monitor order statistics, store inventory levels, store inventory statistics, and things like that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Bharat. Now let's talk about the people, because we were talking about that the expertise and experience play a huge role. So can we talk about how Acuver, the team, can help customers in their holiday readiness journey?
Yeah, I'll take that, Sucheta. Yeah, I mean, you touched upon a very good point, right? We have highly skilled resources. They are not just the experts, they are very experienced. I mean, Bharat talked about audits, performing audits, whether it's audits or doing actual performance exercises like running a test, mimicking a test, or simulating a test on production-like environment, or I mean, suggesting workarounds or complementing your workforce, right? I mean, you need additional resources, not only non-tech, right? Even tech resources you need to handle during your holiday season, right? So we can even complement any customer, I mean, teams to help them uh, pass through that, I mean, the holiday season, right? Not only that, I mean, we can also help the customers. I mean, when system is there, I always believe that there will be an issue, right? Can we can we have some workarounds? I mean, not everybody you may be having, I mean, a lot of expertise, but your experience again plays a bigger role. You would have seen some such issues in the past for some particular customer, right? How can I have a better workaround? I mean, when you actually hit into a problem, right? Right. So, yeah, I mean, Acquire can help, I mean, in various areas, like whether it's audits, whether it's performance testing or performance tuning exercises, or I mean, complementing your workforce. I mean, stay on the floor, help your customers during your, help your workers during your holiday season. Like, I mean, you name anything with respect to holiday season, we can help customers. Yeah. And yeah, and one more important thing I thought of mentioning was, I mean, it's not the expertise and experience. We also have experience in every vertical Manhattan supports. Okay. Yeah.
So we are there wherever you need us.
Right.
Um, So thank you so much, Srini, for sharing those points, and thank you, Bharat, for giving us the importance and telling us of the technical details and the operation details. Thank you for taking time. Thank you to the wonderful audience for joining us today, and we hope you found this webinar informative. Let us know what you want to hear in the future. For all the questions that you have posted, keep posting more. As we share the recording with you, we will share the responses from our experts. Have a fantastic day ahead, and please tune in for the upcoming sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sajita.
Thank you.